Game day.
Welcome everybody to the next episode of Chiefs Focus First and 10 Live. You're here with JP, Quentin, and Caleb. What's up, guys?
Doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Crazy day.
Crazy.
Football. I've got some grievances that I need to displace, but I think a lot of good, interesting football from yesterday, today, and hopefully tomorrow is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it was insane. I got to give it to the two rookie quarterbacks that played. Both of them played with every bit of heart they could play with for being thrown into things, especially Thompson from Miami. I think look, man, I mean, this is a kid that's not played in any kind of environment, really, and then he goes and gets tossed into a playoff game.
And almost won. Almost won. If it weren't for just, like, the most amount of delay of game penalties I've seen in my life, I think they would have had a real chance in that game. It was crazy. It was just like all of a sudden they couldn't get the play in, and it just happened in that last. It wasn't like a problem that was the entire game. They didn't have this problem where it was like continuously they were running out of time. It just seemed like that last drive. I don't know if it was, moment was too big or headset issues. I don't know, but it cost them a chance to win that football game because you're on 4th and 1. Making your last drive, and then you get that delay of game penalty and it kills you, and then you waste all your other timeouts trying to prevent delay of game penalties. You just fell over on your face too many times.
Yeah, it seemed like to me, I think it was just too much pressure for the kid, and I don't think he understood the plays that they were sending out as quickly as they were sending him out. That just Independence, Missouri kid, doing his best out there, and hey, man, he's got a playoff game under his belt. Win or lose, he's got one under his belt, and most guys can't say that. So, Tyreek missed a couple of, everybody was dropping passes early on in that game. I mean, it was rough to watch them drop pass after pass after pass. In fact, Waddle didn't have a catch until I think it was the third quarter.
Yeah, and it was a little
third, fourth quarter.
Pass.
Yeah. So I don't know. It kind of is what it is, but you got to give it up to Mike because this is his first year as a head coach, and he got him to the playoffs. I know they snuck in, but he got him there, and he played under some adversity. Waddle really was. He was on a pitch count. He was hurt. They had a lot of players injured. They got no quarterback, and it kind of sounds like Tua may not. I don't know. I mean, if he comes back, it's really a huge mistake on his part to come back at all, in my opinion. But they're just going to have to work some things out. And if Brady gets his way and wants to go to Miami, then or the 49ers, whichever team he decides to go to, because it sure as hell ain't going to be the Broncos or the Raiders for everybody out there that thinks it is. He's not going to come into this division with Herbert and Mahomes, and even Russell Wilson for that matter. Even though Russ is, he can't cook anymore. He burns water, but kind of is what it is. So, but the Giants won today, first time since 2012.
That was a good game. They played very, very well. I was very impressed, and they may be able to make a run. I don't know, but they at least got that one win. They're turning things around in New York, so I can't wait to see what they're going to be able to do next week.
Yeah.
Two things coming out of that game. Daniel Jones earned himself the bag, and Saquon Barkley earned himself the bag because there was a lot of questions about do the Giants keep Daniel Jones or do they let him walk, try and get somebody else in there. I think Daniel Jones proved the value that he has on this franchise because he looked fantastic. He's the first player in NFL history to have 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown and like 70 plus rushing yards.
And
so he came.
passing. Yeah.
He was really good today. Didn't make a lot of the dumb mistakes that we've seen early in his career, and not everything was on him because Saquon was a dog today. I mean, he was plowing through people. He was stopped 3 yards short of the end zone, and then just kept the legs churning and scored the touchdown. So those two guys, I mean, they pulled them into the victory.
They carried that team. I mean, their defense did really well. I can't say they didn't, but Daniel Jones played better than I think I've ever seen him play.
I would agree with that.
Probably his best game of his career so far from the games I've seen.
Yeah. So.
And if you're going to have a game of your career, the playoffs is a great time to do it.
Yeah, he didn't look rattled. He didn't look nervous. He just looked like this is an everyday game, and that's kind of how you have to almost approach it to a degree. You have to go out. You can't go in there nervous and tense, because if you do, it's going to cost you in the long run. But he played well. Can't take anything away from the kid. And Saquon, I mean, he's like my favorite running back since he's come into the league. I don't know that there's another running back, even on our team, that I like more than Saquon Barkley. I wish we could have signed him at one point, but we couldn't. And we might have that opportunity. I don't know, but I don't know if he'll leave. I don't know if he'll leave there now. But it would be nice to see him get a ring, because he deserves it. Chiefs lies and he says, "I'm excited for this matchup." I am too. Chiefs and Jags, what do you guys think?
Well, we saw the first game. The Chiefs were able to pretty much handle them. I kind of expect the same thing to happen, but I feel like the Jaguars are going to come out with more trick play, just try to do everything they can do to beat the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs kind of basically ran a vanilla-like offense. I know that's probably what Andy wants to do, but I feel like for this, you need to run a little bit outside the box just to make sure. And you have to keep your pedal to the metal. You can't do – we saw against the Bengals last year in the AFC Championship game where they start and then they stop and then they start again. You can't have that. You got to bury them early and stop them. Front four has to get to Trevor Lawrence. Force the turnovers, force the bad reads. I mean, if you look at the Chargers, the Chargers chargered, but as you can see, they were leading from that game a lot of that, and the Jaguars turned the ball over 5 times. That is not good. If the Chiefs can get 5 turnovers out of the Jaguars, there's no way they're losing that game. I just don't see it.
No. And honestly, I mean, I don't know how Staley's going to have a job next year. I mean, to blow it, they were up 27-0 at halftime. They scored 3 points in the second half and allowed 31 unanswered points.
Yeah, it was like a 31-7 run. It was something crazy like that. I'm like, it was a 24-7 run. And it was crazy because when looking at it, it was like, what in the world happened? Because I saw it and I went to bed. I'm like, well, we'll see what happens. I woke up this morning. I'm like, okay. Doesn't surprise me, but it is what it is. The Chargers are not, I don't know. They need some help.
Well, like I said before, and I'll say it again, Staley is a really bad coach. I'm just going to say that now. To allow his players to go out there and play injured and keep them out there playing injured, to me, is just it's ludicrous. You got Joey Bosa that has played injured. He was out of the game at one point because of his injury. No Mike Williams. I don't know. I think they lost another player during that game, but I don't understand his mindset, and I don't know if it's like I said before on another show. I thought that I still think it's the organization, because they were waiting for that coach to just say yes, 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 whatever you want me to do, yes, because every coach has been this way. They have struggled with injuries since I can remember. Really, since Phillip Rivers was a starting quarterback. When Drew Brees left over a shoulder injury, or they cut him over a shoulder injury, I should say, or traded him, they've been riddled with injuries. So it has to have something to do with the ownership, in my opinion. Because most teams would not do that. They would put their player on the sidelines, and they lose. But they're not going to injure their players for that reason. And it seems like that's all he cares about. So I don't know. we'll have to see if he has a job in the next few days, at least with the Chargers anyway. But a pretty interesting weekend, no matter how you look at it. I think, he's got a secure job as far as their head coach is concerned. I don't think he's going anywhere for at least a year. He's got to make it back to the playoffs. Tyreek showed glimpses of his old self, but he didn't play up to par, and he hasn't really played up to par the last couple of games. It's
drop passes. That's the big thing. The drop passes. Yeah. And I don't know if he probably didn't build a rapport with Skylar Thompson, but you can see it showed.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a lot of that stuff when the ball's not really being thrown down the field. One, the pass rush was getting to him early, and then I think on the other side as well, you have the defensive backs of the Bills. The Bills are playing some pretty good defenses. Really is what I was alluding to there. Can't have those drop passes, which Tyreek Hill had. So same with Waddle. And then I know they mentioned this on the broadcast, but they possibly with the way the sun was coming in over Orchard Park, it seemed like all the drop passes were coming from the same area of the field. So they were sort of speculating that the sun was getting in receivers' eyes. It's just it would have been interesting to have Tyreek Hill back here, but in Kansas City to play in Arrowhead, it'd have been interesting to see how people would have dealt with him when he came back in. Would it be one of those things where he comes back in, he gets announced over the PA system, people cheer, and then it's ready to go? Or when he catches his first pass, is it a wave of boos? Because he's been a very controversial Chief over the last damn near calendar year at this point.
Yeah. I think I don't know how he would be received in Kansas City. I think with all the good that he did do, a lot of people are going to look past him trying to build a brand, or at least the intelligent people would. I still think it was kind of, poor taste to crap on the team the way he did, but it is what it is. You really can't say much. He's been building a brand since he got in the league, and it's just what he's continuing to do. So he didn't, he had 119 receptions on the season, which is 5 more than he had last year. So he got when he wanted. He got targeted a few more times. I don't see that it did him that much good. I don't know. They had a lot of injuries on the Miami team. There was a lot of injured players that did not start. So when you're down to your third-string quarterback, a rookie kid that's never even thought about it, and Waddle wasn't 100%.
You're missing your starting running back.
You had 2 defensive players that were out. You had an offensive lineman that was out. It's hard. So
they took him down on the wire. So there are some positives there.
Yeah. Neither. So. JP and I were talking about this before we started the show. Neither one of these, supposed all-star teams with the Bengals and the Bills look undefeatable today. Now, context is important because they're both divisional matchups, right? So this is the third time that these two teams have matched up against each other, so that matters. But it's important that there are some chinks in the armor of these teams. So anybody that says anything different is not paying attention or is just, spitting poop because they're just wrong.
And another thing, looking at these teams, they all have their flaws. It's just who can exploit those early on and then make the adjustments throughout the game in order to win. Because you look at the Bills, Josh Allen turned the ball over 3 times. He did turn over 3 times, 2 interceptions and a fumble. And all 3 of those times he turned it over were 3 scoring possessions for the Dolphins. You just see stuff like that happen. Looking at the Bengals, they really struggled tonight against the Ravens defense. Now, granted, Quinn said this is the 3rd time they're facing, but when it came down to it, they were able to get the ball, but it really took a really bad play by Tyler Huntley to try to jump into the end zone and got the ball fumbled for him to get to that point. Because if he scores, I feel like we're in a whole different conversation now. So, looking at both sides, it's going to be interesting to see how divisional round playoffs are going to go, because I feel like any of these teams, one thing doesn't go their way, it's over.
Yeah. And that Huntley, when he tried to dive that, dive at the end zone or at the goal line, I don't know what he was looking at, but man, they stood him straight up and they put the hurt on him. So there was some mistakes made, but again, he's another guy that was in a position that he's never been in before. Especially a younger guy. I think Lamar needs. Of course, he needs to come back, but I don't know if he's going to. It still sounds like he's still dealing with a pretty bad ankle injury.
Well, he now has a whole offseason to get ready. So
yeah. So I just don't know if he'll. I don't think he's going to be a Raven next year. Is what I'm trying to get at. I don't. Think
he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
He's gone for sure.
He might get the old tag and trade.
That would not surprise me. If I'm the Ravens, I would just
trade him. The Ravens are not letting him walk in free agency.
Oh, no.
I can tell you that.
They're not going to.
But he's going to get franchise tag. Now, whether you want to talk about if he's playing for them at the start of next season, that's a different conversation. Well,
that's what I mean. He's not. I don't think he's going to be there next year.
I think he's going to get tagged and traded.
Yeah, probably will. I don't know. He's still in his own contract negotiations along with his mother, which I don't know how much good that's helping. But so far it hasn't gotten him a contract. And they're signing everybody else. So when you're dumping that kind of money into other players and you haven't gotten your franchise quarterback signed, it just kind of shows you that there's a lot of disinterest there in making a deal. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But
I would like to spread my grievance. This is one of them. One of them at least. So I'm a fan of Tony Romo, right? I think Tony Romo is an interesting guy, and he's really good at play breakdowns, okay? So I like Tony Romo. My dude called Josh Allen Mr. January, Michael Jordan, and the champ.
I saw
okay?
That. Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
First of all, this guy hasn't made it. He hasn't even made it to a Super Bowl, okay? He hasn't won anything. So none of those things can. The guy turned the ball over. Josh Allen turned the ball over 3 times, like Caleb alluded to earlier. Okay? No, he is not any of those things. Josh Allen is a really good quarterback. That's it.
That's
the only people you can call, if you want to call Joe Burrow the champ, I was like, that's fine because
that's respectable.
He won. He made it to the Super Bowl. He won the AFC last year. Okay, there we go. We're good there. And then Mahomes has won a Super Bowl. Other than that,
and been
in
to
the
another
AFC,
one. Yeah.
there's no other the champ inside of the AFC. Stop it. You're being ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's grievance one for the night.
2 or 3 times.
He kept doing it.
He did, and I was like, why is he saying these things? It was like, well, if you're going up against Josh Allen, that's the kind of defense you have to play. And then that's exactly right when he said that's when he got stripped for a pick six, or for a touchdown. And I'm thinking, so that's the kind of stuff you got to worry about. I mean, what? Stripping the guy and taking off with the ball, watching him throw interceptions. I don't know if Romo got paid to say those things or if he's buddies with him. I really don't know, but I got it. Oh, and by the way, I put it out on Twitter today, and I don't know if anybody else saw it, but when one of the times when Allen got sacked, he took his arm and he went like this and hit a guy from Miami in the chest. Hard. It wasn't like he was playing. He hit him pretty damn hard in the chest. He was mad because he got sacked. He can't handle being tackled. It pisses him off. And that's just part of the game.
Well, he got in a shoving match with a defensive lineman, which generally speaking, I understand that you're 6'6" and like 200 and change, whatever. You're a big dude.
Run.
But generally, you should not piss off the guys that are getting paid to hit you. I think that's helpful employment. Just advice there. Don't piss off the people that are supposed to hit you.
Yeah. And he starts fights and runs.
He does. We all know. Man. We all have a Josh Allen in the friend group where they talk the talk, but when it comes down to it, they turn it into a little kitty cat. They ain't got nothing.
Yeah. let me start this fight and walk away, and somebody else can get. I mean, he's gotten like 3 players ejected in the last 3 years over his fights. So I don't know, man. If I was his teammates, I'd say, hey, shut up if you can't back up your own crap. But he doesn't seem to want to do that. So it is what it is. They advanced by 3 points today, and we'll see how they do next week. We don't know yet. We don't know how they're going to do next week. It's going to be interesting to watch that game. That's for sure. But anyway, yeah, it just seemed like to me today. This whole weekend was very strange. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it was a very strange weekend for everything. Quarterbacks, wide receivers, coaches, just everything seemed to not go the way everybody thought it would. The San Francisco game.
That was a good game.
Very good game.
It was close till the end, basically.
Yeah, where it was like the 49ers were just sort of like, okay, I'm done with this. And then they got it over with. And then they put up like 40 points on them. But
yeah. I mean, it was 41. Was it 41?
41 to 6. No, 41 to 23. Something like that.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think that kid's got a job.
Smith? Smith?
No.
Is that how you think has a
Purdy.
job? Brock Purdy. Oh, okay.
Brock Purdy. I don't think Geno's going anywhere either, but I think Purdy's got himself a job. I mean, look, if this kid advances any further in the playoffs, even if he doesn't, he put up 41 points. 41 points. This is a third-string rookie quarterback that is now 6-0, and one of those is in the playoffs.
Okay, but it was against the Seahawks.
Doesn't matter. I mean, look, there's a lot of quarterbacks that can't come in and take that kind of pressure, and he's done it, and he's done it with stride.
Okay, so that's fine and everything, but like, I'm not a big fan of, like, the story's great and all that. I'm not taking anything away from Brock Purdy. What he's done is absolutely impressive, and what the 49ers have done have been fantastic, and it's why if I had a vote, I would give Shanahan my coach of the year from what they've been able to do. Okay, I am not so impressed with Brock Purdy's play and what he's done on the field. He has a tendency to break out of the pocket way before he should. There's a lot of times he should just step up in the pocket and throw the ball down the field, and he doesn't do it. He's thrown up a lot of, I don't want to call them Hail Marys, but there's been a lot of really bad down the field passes that should have been intercepted. And of course, if they're not intercepted, then it doesn't count, right? But I think there's some bad habits that he has that he needs to break now, because they're going to burn him. He always breaks out to his left. He always spins around. It's like he's playing Madden, but he's been playing Madden for like 3 years. So he's not good at it, but he's just got all these bad habits with it, That's what he just rolls out to his left. And he's got a couple of those things where it's just like he needs to fix those, because there are good defenses with talented players who can like stay within their rush lanes, and those sort of things are going to be able to smack him. And teams just haven't been able to do that quite yet. But now that there's more and more film out there, and now you're going up against, better talent, I just don't know if Brock Purdy can be this successful for much longer.
Well, I think this week coming up against either the Buccaneers or the Cowboys, if I'm correct there, I think he's going to be fine. I feel like the 49ers are going to move on with him to see the progression they've seen with him. And number two, guys, he's on the rookie contract still, and he's on a undrafted rookie contract. Opposed to all these other guys they have on their team that are going to get paid, it may be the best option just to roll with him from the play and a financial standpoint, because they're even saying that Trey Lance is not even up to par to what they expected. Yeah, so it's maybe one of those things where they cut their losses, trade Lance for some picks, roll at Purdy, get a good deal in place that's on the undrafted area that's going to work out for him. Now, he's probably going to get something more significant, This will be more beneficial for the team because if you look at all these stars the 49ers have, people got paid, and some people are going to even going to get paid down the line. So it may be best for them just to move on with him to see kind of what more you can do. Because I don't think he's a scrub because he's done a lot just to help this team get to this point. And yeah, Quentin, you are right. He does have the tendency to roll those right, some bad deep balls. But I feel like with the coaching and the weapons of a George Kittle, a Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, I mean, he's really set up to figure some things out. So, yeah, he struggled, but I think that he has a really good chance to kind of make a push this year and even next year with all these other guys, despite if injuries were to happen.
And I tell you what, Thiz and I talked earlier about this. It's really difficult to look, as a quarterback, to look bad in a Shanahan system. Every quarterback's look good in his system. So you can't really put it all as Brock Purdy's being the greatest quarterback out there. But if he can look good and get into the playoffs and continue this run like he's doing, even if he lost next week, I think that would be probably a smart move for them because, again, you're right, they've got a lot of people to pay, and if that's one less person they have to pay for the next 3 years, I mean,
and plus his talent is there. I mean, he's done pretty well against some defenses that have been kind of consistent.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think.
Go ahead.
And I was just I think for the long-term planning, if he can continue to buy in, if Shanahan are very impressed, I say why not just continue to roll with him and have him and Trey Lance there, sign him to a team-friendly deal, figure it out if they need to trade Trey Lance, trade him. They'll figure something out, but I think that moving forward, especially with the weapons that they have, I think he'll be okay. It's kind of like Mahomes when you jumped into the situation with a Hill and a Kelsey minus the great running back like McCaffrey. I mean, he's in a phenomenal spot. It's going to open up the offense like no other.
I think the team building aspect is interesting. I will say this: Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be there next year.
So he's gone.
Trey Lance isn't going anywhere because you need somebody else in that room. And Trey Lance, yeah, he was number 3 overall, but he's still on a rookie deal, so it's nothing. It's much cheaper to keep him around than to try and go out and get a veteran quarterback.
Yeah.
At the very least, I would expect there to be a quarterback competition when it comes to training camp.
That's fair.
I don't see them. I think they're going to try and work with Lance because you invested essentially 3 first-round picks into him. So you obviously saw something, right? You saw that there's some sort of talent in there, and maybe with an off season of working with him, maybe you can to get him that. But I would expect Lance to be the starter when it comes to week 1.
Yeah. Well, Thiz brought up something. We were talking about the Chargers. Thiz just now put this up. He said Sean Payton should want that job, and the Chargers ownership should want Payton too. I agree, and the reason I agree with that is because Payton is not. He's not a guy that wants a quarterback that needs to be trained, that needs to learn the system, that needs to be built. He wants a quarterback that understands football, and he doesn't have to go out there and put all of his time into it. I mean, he's proven that for years. That's just him. Herbert is that kid. Herbert is the guy that understands the game, can go out there and play it, make decisions on the field that are beneficial for the team versus making decisions that can cost you a game for the most part. I don't know what happened as far as this week's concerned. I think a lot of it has to do with the with the coach. And I don't know that they're buying into him anymore. I just don't see it. That's just how I look at that. I think Peyton would be a great coach there, simply because he's got the weapons. And as long as he has the weapons, he does very well. He's made that, it's pretty well known. So I think Thiz is right on this. That would be a good landing spot for him if something were to happen to Staley. Now, if Peyton was to get a secret phone call from the Chargers and said, hey, we want to talk to you, and Peyton agreed, that would almost be a shoo-in and an exit kicking the butt out the door for Staley. So he was on the hot seat when he came into the season, and he's really lucky he made it into the playoffs. So I think the only reason he wasn't fired directly after the game is because the fact that he made it to the playoffs. Because if he wouldn't have, he wouldn't be here. we wouldn't even be talking about him right now as a head coach. We can go on to say this, that Eric Bieniemy and Nagy got requested to be interviewed for the OC job in, and my mind's slipping.
Was it the Colts?
The Colts.
Was it the Colts, Quinn? Am I right?
I think it was the Colts.
I think so.
I believe. Which I mean, they can request. We don't have to allow it. I'm sure they're going to allow Bieniemy. I don't think.
Well, Bieniemy had an interview. I forgot with who, but he had an interview with one team already for a head coaching job.
He did.
So
this is for the OC job, though.
Are you guys talking about the Titans?
The Titans.
Yes, thank you.
The Titans. I don't know that they will. I mean, I don't think Nagy would leave for another OC job, especially if Eric Bieniemy goes for that interview first and gets that job and leaves. Nagy's going to be the OC anyway, regardless. He's not. I mean, I cannot see it in any aspect. Can I see Eric Bieniemy back on the sidelines next year? It's just time for a change.
If the interview goes and they want EB to come in and be their offensive coordinator, wouldn't they have to trade for him because it's a lateral move?
You're still getting your pick, if that's what you're asking. No, because his contract's up. He's on a 1-year deal.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So yeah, now if they sign him prior to his March 13th or 14th or whatever it is, when his calendar contract ends, then yeah, we get our pick. But it's not really a trade scenario. It's more or less, okay, here, you can have him. Give us our pick. See you later. I don't think Nagy would go anywhere. He likes working with Andy. He loves Mahomes. He loves Kansas City. And he's already going to be the OC anyway, and pretty much was. So I don't see that happening. There might be, now I've heard some rumors about the defensive coordinator in Kansas City next year, and there may be some changes there. We won't know yet. We'll just have to see how these how these playoff games go, and if we hit the Super Bowl. But which I think we will. But I have heard some things about that. We'll just have to see if they play out. But it's time for a change for the OC position in Kansas City.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if something happens this off season. I mean, the writing's kind of been on the wall. JP, you and I have talked about this extensively off the air.
Yeah.
If something happens, I wouldn't be surprised. Now you got a lot of guys in house that could take it. You could possibly bring maybe a Cliff Kingsbury maybe to come in and help that role too. That's an option. Not saying that could happen, but that's an option. But you have a couple guys in the house that could fix it. So nothing would surprise me this offseason once we see the alert or whenever it comes out.
Well, Kingsbury will definitely have a job this year somewhere. Probably won't be a head coaching job in the NFL. I think he'll have an NFL job. I think it's going to be OC. I think it's going to be somewhere along that lines because he's a talented guy. It's just he was thrown into a really bad mixture of mess out there between the GM and the issues with Kyler Murray. I think it was just kind of a melting pot. So I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he just needs a little bit more time to learn. Similar to Nagy, what a great OC he is, but he wasn't the greatest head coach. Kind of happens. So just takes time to learn it. And I think Bieniemy would figure that out. If he would have gotten a head coaching job 2 years ago, he'd be an OC somewhere right now. Or back to being a running backs coach. I don't think he could have handled it. And I don't know if he still can, for that matter. But that's just my opinion. Who knows? But I think there's going to be a change. If he doesn't get a head coaching job, I think he's still going to leave for an OC job somewhere else. So, and I think he's out of colleges now. So they've all been filled.
Yeah, I see him saying that. I don't see him go back down to college.
No, he said it was. He told somebody he sees it as a step backwards. I mean, I don't see it as a step backwards when if you become a head coach of a college team and make twice the money as you would in the NFL. But he sees it as a step backwards, so it is what it is. It would only be a step backwards if he was a head coach in the NFL. and he stepped to college as a head coach. Then I could say, okay, that's maybe you're looking at it from that perspective, but he's never been a head coach in the NFL. So he's not really taking a step backwards. He's moving up in a different area of football. And you get paid a hell of a lot more money in college than you do in the NFL as a head coach. So this kind of is what it is. But he needs to figure out what he's going to do and do it fairly quickly so we can move forward with the rest of our, after this season's over, he's got to make a decision. And if he's already made one on one of these interviews he's going to go on, that's great. If he makes one between now and, I think they can't interview him until starting the 23rd of January is what I heard. They couldn't start interviewing until then.
After the divisional round makes sense.
Yeah, so we'll just have to see how that plays out. But looking at the games that we've got coming up this next weekend, give me your guys' predictions on AFC and NFC wins. Now, we can't really do NFC because there's a game left. So we don't really know who's going to end up in the divisional round for them next week.
Well, we will know no matter who wins tomorrow, they're facing San Francisco.
Yes, definitely. So you got to figure out, so you can make a decision on one of those two teams.
Yeah, so we've got Jacksonville at Kansas City. So that's Kansas City. Yeah, we're around there. We'll have our score predictions and all that later on in the week.
Yeah.
Then we've got Giants, Philadelphia, which is the other Saturday game. I don't know how you don't pick Philadelphia there. Am I off key with the rest of the group?
I feel like there's a shot that the Giants have a chance, but I think me and Philadelphia could win. I need to kind of look through it throughout the week. I have a feeling.
Yeah, I do think
Giants
that
have a slight edge, possibly.
The health of Jalen Hurts matters here. So now they're coming off of a bye week, so you assume they're healthier. And I think I don't know if I'm taking a huge leap thinking that Jalen Hurts, if he was able to play I guess it would have been 2 weeks ago in the final game of the season, and then takes a week off and comes back, I assume that he's going to be, healthier.
You'd think. Thiz said Jags are going to play us tough. He's probably right. They are going to play us tough.
Oh, yeah. I'm not expecting a blowout by any means.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chiefs are a 9.5-point favorite, and I saw them do not take that. It's going to be it's a playoff. It's going to be a lot closer game than what.
Well, and think. If you remember, when the last time we faced the Jaguars, it was kind of a big moment for this season, because this was the game that Kadarius Toney stepped in because there was no Juju and no MVS. Yeah. Right. This was the game. That was the game that Juju went out with his concussion early on, and Kadarius Toney had that hopping touchdown reception.
Yeah.
Where he hopped into the end zone. Yeah. This was the first game that Pacheco had his first big game of the season with Kansas City here. He was given the ball, ran the ball for almost 100 yards. That was his first big game. So this was sort of a turning point for the offense going back. While the Chiefs were never blowing out the Jaguars, the game was never in doubt, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I agree. Thiz said Doug Peterson knows us well, Andy too well, and I agree with that. We talked about that earlier on the phone, and I absolutely agree with that. He does know Andy very well. The one thing that I would say that he doesn't know is our defense. Our defense has really stepped up, and I think now that the playoffs are here, they're going to be stepping up even more. So I feel like, I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think it's going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if the 9.5 wasn't covered by the Chiefs.
This was also the game Carlos Dunlap got his 100th career sack.
That's right. True.
That is
true.
So, and the way they're playing, that that defensive line is playing just lights out right now. They really are on all phases. So, I don't know. Lawrence still seems to have issues while he's being pressured. And if we can continue the pressure the way we've been doing, he's going to have a rough day. So. And
lucky for us, we have a defensive coordinator that comes up with a bunch of exotic blitzes. And I'm not afraid of his, running ability. So while he can, while most quarterbacks can run the ball when necessary. I'm not worried about him breaking out huge chunk yards. So that means that Kansas City, we can do some of these exotic blitzes and don't necessarily have to be straight with your rush lanes. You can kind of go after him. I hope Chris Jones gets his first career playoff sack.
I think he has a good chance, and also I think there's going to be a good chance that the Chiefs are going to get a couple of interceptions just off of batted passes alone. We saw that happen to Trevor Lawrence yesterday, and the Chiefs are averaging, probably 2 to 3 per game the last chunk of the season. I think they could easily get one this Saturday coming up based off of that alone. Just looking at how Carr's done that, Chris Jones, Karlaftis have been playing in those areas. I think there's a really good chance to get a turnover there, and that's going to help turn the game around.
Yeah, to add off of what you just said, Karlaftis is playing better now than he was early in the season. I would say this entire defense, because of a couple of players, is playing better now than it did earlier in the year. Because this was about a little bit after. This is 2 or 3 games after the bye week.
I think so.
Yeah, I thought it was like week 7 or week 8, but maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was.
I want to say it was later in the year. It was not. I want to say it was after the bye week, but
it could have been. I don't remember now.
It was the week before the Chargers game, the second Chargers game.
Yeah, you're right. I would say that they're going to struggle if our defense comes out and plays the way it's been playing. They're going to struggle. They're not going to get with. Frank Clark causes havoc on the opposite side of the field. And he pushes everything over to Chris Jones, to Dunlap, to Karlaftis.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if that's how they're going to be able to handle that. I don't think Lawrence is really set up to be able to handle that kind of rush.
Well, he's going to come against a pass rush that's a lot better than what the Chargers had, Kai. So we can only imagine what's going to happen this time around.
Yeah, better and healthier, and not going to throw a temper tantrum on the sideline and throw their helmet down and cost a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah.
I will also say this, too, which was interesting and I'll go into a little bit more depth with this later on in the week, but the Jaguars were throwing a lot of short routes, and a couple of those interceptions, I want to say 3 of them, all of them except that one batted pass one, they were jumping the routes. They were getting in the face of the receivers, and they were simply just jumping the routes. That they weren't throwing the ball down the field in that game a lot, and they were throwing a lot of 5-yard outs and like 7-yard ins, just lots of short to medium passes, and the Chargers defensive backs were just jumping those routes. So it'll be interesting to see what the Chiefs end up doing to cover that, because if you want to play some middle of the field, that's all you want to do, and then every once in a while throw it deep, I am more than happy to play some sort of like cover 4 scheme on you all day and send an extra blitzer after you. Yeah. More than happy to do so.
Yeah. I agree. I don't know if it's a trust issue in himself or if it's a trust issue in their wide receivers, but he does seem to a lot of dump passes, a lot of short RPOs, I don't know. It's just weird to me that he doesn't really put a lot of confidence. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's in himself or if it's in his wide receivers, but he doesn't seem to have it on either one or the other side, and that's why it seems to me that they're a lot of check downs and things of that nature are just kind of in their wheelhouse. So that's kind of a mistake with our linebackers and the way our secondary is set up. I wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't. If they're going to pick on anybody, they're probably going to pick on Watson. What's up, Phillip? And that's probably going to be a mistake in this game, because I think when he's out there, he's got a bone. He's got an axe to grind right now. So I think he's going to show up. So we'll just have to see how this game plays out. But to me, I'm not really too concerned with it. I think I would have been more concerned if we were playing the Ravens. I don't know why, but I feel like I would have been more concerned with it. Even though
defense a little bit more scarier, but knowing Andy Reid, he's a defense that are very aggressive. Andy Reid has been able to manipulate them and get them right where he wants them to be.
Yeah.
So I feel like with the Ravens able to figure it out, with the Jaguars, I think they can do the same thing. But Andy's gonna have to pull some stuff from the playbook on page 30 and bring that out and just use that to help kind of build it up there.
I agree with you.
I'm more than happy to run some Kadarius Toney screens on a defense that over pursues.
Yes.
Please, let's see that happen. He's insanely good. That was a monster pickup by Veach. A monster pickup. And it's crazy that we've got him for so much time. He's going to be, I have a feeling he's going to be that X factor for us in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. I feel like he's going to be that X factor. I think he's just going to be that guy that we go to when we have to absolutely go to, to somebody that we need a massive play out of, especially when Kelsey's double and triple covered and everybody else is covered. You're going to see Toney somehow, with one of Andy's crazy plays, is going to come out and just barnstorm through the field. I can just kind of see it happening. He just has that ability. So, okay, so who do you got who's the Giants going to play?
Philadelphia.
So you picked Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, I don't.
What do you think, Caleb?
I'm going to say Philadelphia now. I have a feeling I may change my mind in the middle of the week, but I feel like Philadelphia's going to run away. I mean, it's pretty obvious for the most part. They're the better team, but the Giants have a lot of heart. And like as Quinn said earlier, it depends on Jalen Hurts' health. And we've seen with the injury report, we learned from Belichick, he got teams now will basically mask that and say a player is questionable. You really don't know if they're going to play or not. They try to play mind games, so he's probably going to play, but it's going to be interesting to see kind of what's going to happen on the depth chart. But I'm just saying Philadelphia. I mean, that's pretty much the easy answer looking at it right now.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be the odd man out here, and I'm going to take the Giants. I feel like they have what it takes to win that game. I think Barkley he's exploited so many defenses this year, and Jones he played, honest to God, best game he's ever played. I just feel like this is the time that they've gotten in there. They've got the right OC, which is calling every single offensive play. I just feel like they've got what it takes to be able to beat them. I could be wrong, but I just feel like just a gut feeling. I don't know. But so who else do we got to pick now?
Then you've got Bengals, Bills, and I'm going to go with the Bengals on this one.
Same here. I think the Bengals will be able to upset the Bills. And regardless, it's going to be if the Chiefs win and take care of business against the Jaguars, it's going to either be rematch of the 2020 AFC title game or the 2021 AFC title game. That's kind of how it looks. That's how probably it's going to be. If the Chiefs can take care of business, I'm going to say the Bills. I think it's going to be Chiefs Bills, and they're probably going to move that to a neutral site. We'll know more later, but I just feel like the Bills are going to probably push through in this game and basically win. I need to see Philip. He said Philadelphia is going to win the first game, Eagles, Giants, and then he said he thinks the Bengals or the Bills. So Philip is agreeing with you, Quentin. JP, what do you think?
Man, as much as I would love to take the Bengals over the Bills, I have a strange feeling that it's just not going to end up that way, and not because of playing ability. I don't think it's that. I'm going to go with the Bills for other reasons that probably aren't the most favorable reasons, but I am going to go with the Bills. And I would have picked the Bengals at any other point. At any other time, I would have picked the Bengals. But I'm going to take the Bills right now. So,
I will say this. If DeMar Hamlin is on the sideline or runs the team out of the tunnel, I reserve my right to flip.
Yeah.
I think they were saving him. I think they're saving him for this game. They didn't want the extra juice against the Dolphins. They're going to need it against the Bengals, so they were like, stay at home another week. Okay? Next week, you're going to put a jersey on. You're going to run out of the tunnel. You're going to leave everybody out. Everybody's going to be fired up because you're there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wouldn't doubt that he shows up. So, okay, so we got those out of the way.
Then it is tomorrow's game is Bucks at Cowboys, which this leads me to my second grievance of the weekend, which is I either have to hope Tom Brady wins or the Cowboys win, both of which are the worst possible options. They are the worst outcomes available in all of sports. So that's my second grievance of the weekend.
Amen to that.
I'm still it's an emotional turmoil of trying to figure out what I want to happen for this game.
Well, what do you think?
I'm going to be honest with you. I really could care less about that game. I think the 49ers can beat both of them similar to what we saw how the 49ers beat up on Seattle. That's how I feel, honestly. The Cowboys, in my opinion, are a lot of talk, don't do much, and the Buccaneers are worse than what they were last year. Regardless, I really think whoever wins that game, I'm just going to say Tom Brady will probably win because it's the Cowboys, and you know how the Cowboys do at home. They lose a game, all their fans get mad. They throw stuff at the refs. They blame everyone but themselves. Jerry Jones is sitting in the press box all mad, be like, why? Why me? Why? They go through the whole cycle of, we them boys, and da-da-da-da. Stephen A. Smith's going to get all happy. I just think Tom Brady is going to win, but what's going to happen is they're going to go against the 49ers and maybe a close game, but eventually they're going to get to him and not win the game. That's how I feel. And Shannon, and I feel like guys like Skip Bayless and all of them are going to be very frustrated to see. But regardless, this is probably Tom Brady has one more game after this with the Bucs, and he's gone. Yeah. I just don't see the Cowboys stepping up to the plate. I just don't.
Jerry Jones will be up.
Even if they do, they are not beating the 49ers. It's going to take a miracle. I mean, a miracle to happen because the 49ers will not lose to the Cowboys. That will not happen.
Don't you remember Skip telling Shannon that he was better than, Brady was better than Shannon? I mean, Brady's better than everybody.
Well, Skip Bayless averaged 2.2 points per game as a senior playing JV, so I don't think he's really qualified to talk about other people's sporting experience. So he has no way to – he can't qualify. He should not talk about other people. He should be critical.
Jerry Jones will be in his press box dead, wiping away his tears with his hundreds of dollar bills.
Well, I was thinking this the other day. I'm like, this makes sense why they made the 7th playoff spot because teams like the Cowboys can put there and generate another $200 million. I'm just like, okay, fine. That's what you guys want to do.
I don't know if we'll ever see a 7th seed actually make it through.
There might be one that can make a run.
Maybe in the first round, but think of how hard it was to make it through as the 6th seed, and now you're making it even more difficult by adding a objectively worse team. I mean, I think like Miami making it to the playoffs is cool and all, and maybe one day I'll be happy that there's a 7th seed because my team will sneak into the playoffs there. That won't be for another 12, 15 years, but if I just don't see a team at that caliber, a team right around 500 or at below or 500 really making a significant run when it was already so difficult to make it with the 6th seed.
Well, by the time our team needs to sneak in at a 7th seed, it'll probably be a year-round football. So I don't know if we'll even see that ever. Because the Chiefs, I don't think for the next 10 years are probably going to be ever below a 3 seed. So
maybe a 5 at worst, 5 or 6.
It's going to be tough to get them down that low. But, I mean, look what they did this year with who they've had. I mean, everybody knew, and I don't know, man. He shut a lot of people up. This team shut a lot of people up this year.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are eating crow. So, and it's funny to me. I mean, I love to watch all these fools just not even bring it up anymore. They won't even mention it on their shows, that Mahomes and company have done what they've done this year. So it's kind of comical after everybody cut him down and shut him off and said they weren't going to make the playoffs. It was going to show Mahomes' true colors and all the other crap that flew out of their mouths. It did show his true colors. He's the best damn quarterback in football, and he can make anybody look good. So what did he do different than he's done the prior 4 years he's a starter.
I think that Patrick Mahomes is going to go on an Aaron Rodgers-esque kind of division run where you're going to win your division almost every single year except barring an injury to yourself. And then if as long as the team continues to be a quality around him, he's going to continue to be great.
That's all I was going to add yours and raise that where we actually have a GM that's going to help build around the players we saw Aaron Rodgers have. I agree with you there 100%.
Yeah. And as far as Brady's concerned, he's not going to be with the Bucs. Said they want to retain him, but I don't think he's staying.
He's probably going to go to the Dolphins.
Yeah. It's either going to be the Dolphins or San Francisco.
It's going to be a team that's stacked.
Yeah. It's got to be. I don't know. It has to be a team that's stacked. And it has to, and you got to think about it too in division wins. You got to find a team that's a weak division with a stacked football team. That's going to be hard to do in Miami's division because none of them are slouches. You know, I mean, other than maybe unless he's got some bone to grind, you know, or some axe to grind with Belichick, you know, and try to beat him. You know,
I don't know if he's ever lost to the Jets. Oh, he might have lost during the bump fumble era.
Yeah, he did lose to the Jets, I think twice.
A couple times he's lost to them.
Yeah, but Miami always had his number.
Oh, yep.
Which was kind of crazy, but Miami was the always team, no matter how bad they were, they had his number.
Mm-hmm.
So,
somehow they did.
It's magic.
Yeah.
Kevin Harlan, I will never forget. I'm calling both games.
Touchdown, Miami! He found Gesicki in the middle of the end zone. That was a great day.
One of the most obscure, niche moments in sports announcing history that I will never forget.
Yeah, I miss Kevin. I wish he was calling all the Chiefs games. I mean,
maybe that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Or just primetime games. Why couldn't we get him on Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football? I guess not Monday because he does radio on Monday, but if you could do the Thursday night games, Amazon should have given him a whatever bajillion-dollar contract to do the Thursday night games.
I agree. Well, like I said, I don't know what's going to happen with Brady. From what I understood, Fox gave him a year to go back and, do his unfinished business thing, and I don't know if they're going to extend it. I mean, I don't know how long they'll wait for him, for that $75 million that's sitting in the waiting for him.
If Fox says no, another place will take him. He's going to have a job regardless, so he'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not hurting for money, so he'll be fine regardless.
No, he's definitely not hurting for money, but I don't know. He just seems like he's pretty narcissistic, so I don't know if he's going to be able to handle not hearing his name called on a football field. So we'll just have to see. But with that being said, what other games do we have? Any?
No, we covered all of them.
We've got, depending on what happens tomorrow, either the Buccaneers or Cowboys will visit the 49ers, and I will take the 49ers in either of those.
Yeah,
same.
Yep, 49ers. I almost have a strange feeling that it's going to be a repeat, and it's going to be the 49ers and the Chiefs. I have that feeling that's what's you're going to
It could happen.
Yeah.
You got some juggernauts playing this. It could very well happen.
Yeah. So we'll just have to see how it plays out, but that's been my feeling for a little bit, and hopefully I wouldn't mind seeing a repeat of it. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to see them play against each other again in the Super Bowl. So
I would kind of like to get someone that's not a rookie quarterback, because I every once in a while, someone will say something about Mahomes having a Super Bowl ring, and there will be a bunch of people that say, win a real ring or you beat Jimmy Garoppolo.
A win's a win. It doesn't matter. A win's a win.
No.
Yeah, those are just people that are extremely jealous and upset that they don't have a quarterback like him. That's really what that all boils down to. It doesn't matter who he beats. Philip thinks it'll be the Chiefs versus the Bucs. Hey, and that could very well be as well. They may want to see Tom Brady in another Super Bowl against the best.
Oh, I'll be happy to see that when the Chiefs beat them. I will be happy.
Yeah. He said, we get Brady back for everything he's caused, and I know Giselle will be laughing when we beat on Brady again.
We have the pass rush this time to get it done.
Yeah.
The offense is a lot better.
And he is not a guy that moves around. Now, one thing I can say is he gets the ball out faster than anybody, but that's because of fear. So, if you're, you got a defense like this, it's in the backfield constantly. He's not going to be used to that, not from our team. So we'll just have to see. But has anybody got Super Bowl picks now, or do you want to wait until next week?
I will save mine. JP, I go week by week.
I know.
Week by week.
Week by week.
That's how I'm doing it.
Yep. You are definitely conservative when it comes to the games. I'm the other way around. I'll pick the Chiefs every time, no matter who we're playing. But we'll just have to see how it plays out. What about you, Quentin? You got any Super Bowl predictions early?
I still think that the Chiefs are the best in the AFC, and especially with how poorly we saw a couple of these other teams play this week, I don't see how you could think otherwise. I still have the 49ers as the better team in the NFC just because I'm not sure about Jalen Hurts' health. It would be easier if he was healthy. I think you could have a real conversation about the Eagles or the 49ers, but just because we don't know how healthy Jalen Hurts is, I think I'm going to have to go with the 49ers, winning that hypothetical game. I do think it comes down to the Eagles and 49ers.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think it might even come down to the Giants and the 49ers.
Well, then absolutely give me the 49ers.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I got a feeling about that team. I just do. I don't know why, and I could be completely wrong, but I just feel like they've gotten things together. And Saquon just, to me, is right now the best running back in football. So, next to Christian McCaffrey. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how it plays out. But with that being said, you guys got anything else?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything. Quinn, you got anything?
No, we'll be back later in the week to talk about some of this other stuff in detail. I do have some other things that I want to talk about. Maybe I'll just go on a long, educated rant about Brock Purdy and why he's not so good as everybody thinks he is.
Okay, well that sounds good. I can't wait for that. And we will talk to you guys on Tuesday. With that being said, we appreciate everybody for joining. Remember, we are brought to you by Foco Sports. Check out our pin tweet. Check out our website. Anywhere you want to check it out, it's on our website. It's on our social media pages. We do have a pre-order out right now for the Ring Around the Rosie play. It's a bobblehead, actually, of the Ring Around the Rosie play. Right now, everybody is seeing a blackout version of it that we've posted because it's one of those on-the-spot builds where they, it's like, wow, that was really cool. We're going to make it right now. So they have to build the mold for it, get it ready to go. So everybody takes, they take pre-orders for it. But if you go on the website and look at every other bobblehead they've made, you'll see why it's worth the purchase. I think they're making 115 of them, if I'm not mistaken. So get your pre-orders in quick, or they will be gone. The last time Blackout came out, it was gone in 15 minutes, and there was 250 of them. So make sure you get your orders in, and we will talk to you guys again on Tuesday. We appreciate everybody for joining. Peace out, everybody.